Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's video is an album review on ABC's 1985 album, How to Be a Millionaire. Um, I think the first time I heard this was probably just after 1985. I can remember my oldest sister had this on cassette, and we listened to it a lot on trips to the beach and Ventura Beach, and it was always really, I always, it seems like I kind of grew up with ABC because my sister had Lexicon of Love, and Shoot the Poison Arrow, Poison Arrow and Look of Love were on MTV a lot back in like '82, and so I kind of feel like I grew up with them. My sister had probably most of had all their albums up to that time, up to this album's time, which was only 3 albums. This is their third album, but yeah, so I was immediately kind of grown into them and followed them through the next few albums, and then to their couple albums after kind of the '80s. Um, but so I've always been a big fan of ABC. I think they're kind of overlooked when people think of '80s bands. I think Martin Fry, the singer for ABC, he's very talented. I think he's a really good singer. He's got a lot of personality, a lot of swagger. He's clever. He's got a good voice. I think he does equally as good as a ballad song as he does a disco song or a pop song. I think his voice is great. I think he's a good performer. I've seen him live on YouTube quite a few times, and he's able to carry what some people might think is a fairly you know uh, simple sound, but he's able to carry it in kind of a in kind of cabaret way, which is kind of ironic considering that's who they kind of in a way they kind of impersonate, sort of, in kind of a post disco way. Um, I don't know if I really call them new wave. I mean, they're synth pop or anything like that, but it's hard to put them into a category. But I feel like they're just kind of like pop electronica. I mean, pop electronic music, I guess. I mean, they're more disco than they probably are new wave, or even house music, like they were in like Abracadabra, which is probably one of my favorite albums by them. But I just think they're really overlooked. I think they're very talented. I think Mark White, the other guy in the band for the most part. Um, I think they do a really good balance of dance music and ballads, and they kind of have like in some ways they probably have like a little bit like Pet Shop Boys early in their career, like a little bit like not necessarily he's the smart songwriter and the other guy does the music, and they're kind of sarcastic in a British way, but ABC are kind of like that a little bit, but more in a fun way. He's kind of like the romantic and the kind of you know I guess flaunty when it comes with money and talks about money and stuff like this. Is a perfect example on this album. The excesses of the 1980s and things like that, and he's kind of talks a lot about that and just way of life, and but for the most part it's about like love and love lost and having a good time and things like that. And I think because of its very general and very for the most part very basic kind of lyrics, and or really not even lyrics but subject matter, because there's a lot of cleverness in the lyrics when they write music. But I think because of that, like, people overlook the music as like simple or maybe not have that much depth. But when you look a little deeper and you actually listen to an ABC album, you always are really surprised by. There's one or two really good ballads in the song. There's a good balance of dance music. There's um, just some really catchy music. A few kind of, I think some of their beats have and their rhythms and bass lines and stuff like that have aged pretty well, considering, especially considering it's kind of, some of those disco and stuff like that. which I don't think disco is aged in a bad way at all, but you can kind of tell it's disco. Um, but I just think they're really underrated when it comes to their comes to a lot of their music. And I mean, they probably had, I think they had two top 40 songs from this album, and I think Poison Arrow and Look of Love both made the top 40, and of course, When Smokey Sings off the album after this, hit the top 40. I think even hit the top 10. So they had five top 40 songs in America. So they weren't necessarily a one hit wonder at all. Um, when people think like, oh, you play ABC, you're like, oh, that's a good song. Oh, that's a good song. Yeah, that's good songs. And then if you really look deeper and you listen to some of the albums, if you like what you hear, you generally hear a lot more, and some ones that'll surprise you. Yeah, now granted, there's some ones that are kind of corny and ones that may not have aged well, and um, but I think they're all done in fun, and they're all kind of even the kind of campy ones, whereas you're like, there's a couple on this album that are kind of like, um, few of them that they pull off really well, and then a couple of them, they may not, but for the most part, like it's catchy music, and I think they're underrated when people consider um, 80s dance, whatever genre you think ABC would fall under. I think they're really underrated. So gonna look back at the How to Be a Millionaire album and rate the songs, and then rate the overall album score and give it a score. Excuse me. I'm still getting my coffee. It's early in the morning, so decided to do some reviews today. I've been listening to a lot of albums this week. I think I have. Let me see. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 albums to video today. So, been reviewing a lot of albums this week, or the last couple of days, anyways. So is it how to be a zillionaire? Okay, it's how to be a zillionaire. I thought it was how to be a millionaire. Yeah, how to be a zillionaire. Um, or even more so, more money. Good for them. Um, so the first song, "Fear of the World." This is a really underrated song. I think it's a great opener. The beat, the melody, the piano, Martin singing. It's got a solid chorus. It's smooth, which is one of the things I look for in a lot in dance music. I like when things kind of stay in the same vein. Like I'm into a lot of like minimal techno and not minimal techno so much now these days, but minimal techno in the '90s and early 2000s. And I could go on and on about minimal techno today, and it's a little rough, but um, I like when things stay in the same vein and they stay in the sweet spot, and I'm okay with that. A lot of people are like, oh, okay, well, it just kind of gets boring and kind of stays in the same. Well, I kind of like that. I think if it's a good groove and it's got a little up and down, I kind of like that. And this is a good example of a song that kind of stays in the sweet spot and it's very smooth and kind of goes up for the chorus and again stays in that kind of good range. I think it's a really good opener. It's a good balance to the more loud in your face kind of songs on this album. Um, I feel like I might have it a little bit underrated, but I got it 3 stars. I think it's a really good track. I really enjoy that song when, especially back in the day. That was kind of like my dark horse. Like you have the popular singles on the album, but this one always kind of was like the one I wanted to hear, and a couple other ones on here as well. And that's the thing was when you hear about like albums, you kind of you hear some songs on the radio, right, and then you kind of, I wouldn't say you don't, when you play the album then you don't pick those songs because you hear them more often and you just kind of gravitate towards the lesser known songs or the ones maybe less appreciated or the ones deeper in the album. That's kind of me. That's kind of me in a nutshell. I'm always the underdog, rooting for the underdog song and highlighting the underdog. And sometimes I probably, if there's any fault in my scoring a lot, is sometimes I do give kind of the lesser known or maybe the simpler songs like um, maybe a little bit higher ratings sometimes than people might think compared to like the obvious hits. I don't know if I necessarily do it on this one, but maybe I do when it comes to like How to Be a Millionaire, comparing that to maybe a couple other songs. But um, it's just like if a song has a charm, I don't care if it's 2 minutes, I don't care if it's 10 minutes. Like if it has a certain charm and it's better than a pop song that did well on the charts or that they're known for, like I could almost have those equally rated because I generally like the other one more, but I respect the other one and still like the other one a lot. But it's just I do kind of appreciate kind of the lesser known songs and the kind of maybe more unique ones. Maybe that's probably a big part of it is because I do listen to a lot of music and I try to look for the things that are unique and stick out and are kind of maybe a little bit more artsy or a little bit different. I don't know. Kind of a combination of all that. But Fear of the World, 3 stars for sure. I really like that track. The second track is Be Near Me, the single 12-inch right over here on my right. Obviously, this is a classic song. Keyboard, piano. It's sung so well, super smooth. It's almost like an adult electronic contemporary song in a way. It is kind of like an adult contemporary, song that's electronic. It's just a classic. I mean, it goes over so well every time you hear it. I mean, every time somebody hears it, I mean, you can't really fault anything about it. I could fault a little bit something on the overall album of this, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the overall. But I mean, this song is vintage 1985, and it just works so well in so many ways. I got Be Near Me 4 stars. I think it's a great track. Um, Track 3 is Vanity Kills, which I have the 12-inch here. Has the Mendelssohn remix, Ecstasy remix of Be Near Me, and also have you heard the latest? Oh, sorry, that's actually yeah, Judy's Jewels. Sorry, that's the B side. But here's the 12-inch right here. This is kind of the taken from the Be Near Me video. I don't know if they ever did a Vanity Kills video, but I think they had the same kind of cartoon characters in the How to Be a Zillionaire or How to Be a Millionaire. The track is called How to Be a Millionaire, but I guess they changed the title on the single to How to Be a Zillionaire also. But they kind of use these characters in the videos for Be Near Me, or not for Be Near Me, but did they use it for Be Near Me? Maybe it was How to Be a Millionaire, but they also kind of look like this in the Be Near Me video. I can't remember which one it was, but they kind of added, the two characters, this girl and this guy, to the band and sort of kind of tried to maybe, I don't know, present themselves as more of an image. I mean, more as a band, maybe to take them a little bit more seriously. Or I don't even know what these two people really did in the band besides appear in the videos. Mark White did most of the music, and of course, Martin Fry's the singer. Is Mark White? Yeah, Mark White, right? I always think Mark White. Yeah, Martin Fry, and Mark White. But yeah, this is kind of their image on their videos. But Vanity Kills, it's a good dance song. Nice melodies and keyboards. It's a little campy, but it's still a lot of fun. I like the bass line. The horn is fun too. It's a good song. I got it 2.25 stars. And then track 4 is they had 4 singles from this album. Ocean Blue was the 4th and last single from this album. It's actually the only single that I don't have from the album. I used to have this album again. My sister had on cassette, and then I think I got that cassette from her, and sometime I must have had the on CD, and then I may have lost it somewhere along the way. Ocean Blues, it's a nice ballad. It's one of their best ballads over their career. It's really melodic. It really shows you that they can they can be really balanced. I mean, you go from a smooth song in Fear of the World to a very poppy song, Be Near Me, to Vanity Kills, which is the kind of over the top kind of disco song, and then you have Ocean Blue, which is a nice ballad. Like just in the first four songs, they kind of hit all their abilities in writing different songs, and they do a really good job of it. Ocean Blue, I got 3.25 stars. It's a really good song. Um, I really like the way Martin sings it. He's underrated on his ballads. I think of like All of My Heart from Lexicon of Love is one of my favorite ABC songs. Um, Trying to think of well, there's one on here too. Between You and Me is a really good song. By Default, by Design on Beauty Stab. I really like that. There's also another one on Beauty Stab. I'm trying to remember what it is. Kind of a lower key ballad song. I can't remember it right now, but I really like their ballad songs. They do a really good job of making a melodic kind of symphony, like in Lexicon of Love. They use what's her names with the orchestra, and then Ann Dudley, who did a lot of soundtracks, did like Crying Game soundtrack and some other soundtracks. Worked with like Pet Shop Boys and some other bands. I think they worked with the Killing Joke with Jazz and Jazz Coleman and yeah. I mean they really do a good job when they do these ballads with these big string arrangements. Um, and then you kind of see the fifth song, 15 Story Halo. And then you see maybe the campy side that doesn't work so much with ABC. I never really liked the song. Um, I always used to fast forward it. It was just kind of corny. It's kind of like a show tune. The second half of the track is better. It's kind of the longest track on the album. It's kind of like 5.5 minutes. The second half of the album gets better with the music. You kind of get used to it. It gets a little darker, which is cool with the melody and stuff like that. But it's I turned out to like it a little bit more. It's probably the first time I played that song in a really long time, and I didn't mind the second half of the song. Um, the first half of the album, the first half of the song was a little rough, but I got it 1.5 stars. It kind of grew on me towards the end, the last like 2 minutes or so. I don't mind the music on it, really, but the lyrics are kind of rough. Track 6 is kind of just like a 2 minute interlude. It's called A to Z. It's a catchy, kind of cool beat. It's a little corny, but it wears really thin really quickly, even though it's only like a little bit over 2 minutes. I got a half star, and those two tracks kind of hurt the overall scoring of the album. Unfortunately, when you look at the overall, and then you have the I think it was the first single from the album, "How to Be a Millionaire," which I guess they may have changed the title for it. This is, I believe, yeah, this is the 12-inch single, and then you have I think this is the European version here. They have different remixes. I also have the one that kind of gathers all the remix, which is the Mercury American promo for it. It has the Bond remix, the Nickel and Zone remix, and the Wall Street mix, which is all three on this one. Plus, this one has it also has the acapella as well, which is a nice addition. Um, I think the acapella is on one of these two as well. But the cool thing about I think it's this one is no, it's actually this one has this has the extended remix to Tower of London, which is really cool. But yeah, I picked up all three 12 inches of this song over the years. But just a great song to DJ. Always goes over really well. In a way, it's kind of aged well, in an '80s way. Um, it's a very good dance track. Works well. The beat and the keyboards, it's really catchy. The darker side with the bridge is really cool. It makes the tracks a little bit more balanced. And it's a pretty solid chorus too. I got 3.5 stars. It's my second, yeah, my second favorite track of the album. Be Near Me is first. Um, and then track number 8, Tower of London. I think this one's really underrated on the second half of the album. It's really catchy. The chorus is really good. The bass line and the beat is cool. The darker edge is really cool towards the end. Keyboard in the chorus is great. The backing vocals is fun. The kind of Japanese melody is a weird touch when they're talking about London. Strangely enough, it's kind of odd. But it's a good song, and always been kind of my dark horse on the second side. Um, it's a fun track, and I really like the chorus. It's good. I got it 2.5 stars. So Hip It Hurts. This track is kind of the bummer of the second half of the album for sure. I got it 1 star. I don't really have anything super negative to say about it, or really positive about it. Is this one? This one is kind of like what I was saying with their campy stuff that sometimes doesn't work. It's catchy. Yeah, I don't mind hearing it, but I'm not gonna go to it and play the song. Unless I'm playing the full album, I might let it play. But I got it 1 star. And then the final track, Between You and Me. I love the key. It's my third favorite song on the album. I love the keyboard, the melodies. These are the type of songs they do if you're a fan, as you really like them. If you're a fan of ABC, you hear these songs and you're like, these are really good songs. This is like Ocean Blue, and like what I was saying about All of My Heart. Like, they do some really good ballads. I really like their melodic side. Perfectly sung. Martin does a great job singing on it. Um, I can't stress how much I feel like his voice is underrated. Um, I get the album this track 3.25 stars. That's my third favorite. So kind of looking at the overall of the album, lots of good songs. Be Near Me and Millionaire, ones that certainly stick out. It's a good dance album, a good mix of style and flair, and a good mix of their styles for sure. Um, it's got some good secondary songs and balance of styles. Again, Fear of the World, Ocean Blue, and Vanity Kills. All three of those. Tower of London as well. Fun and catchy 80s dance music for sure. Keith LeBlanc does, rest in peace. Keith LeBlanc passed away, I think it was last year. Fantastic programmer, fantastic drummer, fantastic in the studio. Keith LeBlanc. I mean, if you ever look on liner notes of 80s and classic music, like, he's been on so much stuff, from industrial music to pop music to dub music. Like, Keith LeBlanc he was a legend. Rest in peace. Julia Mendelson does the mixing, who's fantastic as well. Mark Stent did the engineering on this album, so I think that really helped the album be a little bit, like, kind of be a well balanced mixed album, level wise and sound wise. Um, could it be a little bit more atmospheric? Possibly, but it's I mean, it's directed towards pop and dance music. Like, this album it doesn't hold back. Um, and again, a few underrated gems on here, Between You and Me and Tower of London, to close out. Those are the good of the album, in my opinion. The questionable things on the album: a few rough songs, 15 Story Halo, A to Z, and So Hip It Hurts, are all under 1.5 stars. Um, a little thin on depth. When you take out those 3 songs, there's still 7 good songs. So, but it's not necessarily a long album. It's not really a short album, but you got a couple tracks under 3 minutes. Um, it does feel a little bit thinner on depth compared to the other albums they have, though. When you look at, like, Beauty Stab and Lexicon of Love and Abracadabra and their '87 album, Alphabet City. There's Alphabet Street, Alphabet City. Those albums are a solid 10 songs for the most part. Maybe Alphabet City has an intro as well, but for the most part, those are all like 4 minute, 5 minute songs. Like, this one's a little bit shorter on content. So it does feel a little bit less depth than the other albums. When I look at the ranking of the songs, so I got you know three songs that are less than 2 stars. Um, yeah, I got one that's 2 stars, 5 songs that are actually 3 stars, or excuse me, four, and then one that's 4 stars. So it's a balanced, balanced for very good and some good songs. So when you divide it in by 10 songs, the overall rating for the album is 2.47. That's where the songs fall. Which when you look at my rating is somewhere in between, right under 60 for a total score. I gave it a few extra points just from I think when you take out maybe the one interlude, and then you have maybe 2 songs that are still catchy. Just maybe I'm being a little harsh on them, but So Hip It Hurts, and 15 Story Halo. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on them. They're still catchy songs, but I do feel like the highs on this and the amount of good songs they are. I did kind of push this over this 60, and instead of like around a 58, 59, I gave it a 63 out of 100. So I gave it a couple extra points because I think it is a really good album, and it's on the lower side of kind of almost in the middle of my rating in between 60 and 70, which is a good album range that I kind of score and kind of balance out with my stars rating for my songs. So yeah, that's my review on How to Be a Zillionaire by ABC from 1985. I think it's a good album. It's when I think of the other albums, I think I'll probably rate Lexicon of Love better. Beauty Stab is interesting because maybe a little bit more jazzy, not as dancey, but maybe a little bit more depth. But there's some good songs on that one too. I probably have Alphabet City rated higher as well. And I might have Abracadabra rated better as well. I do have I think it was 1997 album was and I do have the Lexicon of Love too as well. But those albums don't really strike me. I may not review those albums. Unfortunately, I was really disappointed in the Lexicon of Love too. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but yeah, it sounds as good, and it's got Ann Dudley strings, and it's kind of trying to be mimicked, but it just doesn't have the songs to compare to the first album. But yeah, this actually might be the lowest. I mean, it's going to be very close. I don't think they have anything extraordinary. I don't. It'd be interesting if any ABC album gets into the 70s. I would guess. I think it'll be really close. If to say a ABC album is very good, it's going to be close. I wouldn't say any album of theirs is excellent, over 80 for sure. But there might be a couple close, if not just over, very, very good in my opinion. But I don't think any of their albums, any of their first, even Real World from '89, I don't think any of their albums that I'll review, any of those albums will be under 60. I don't think it might be close, but I think all the albums are above okay for me. Because I am a fan of their music. Maybe if somebody wasn't a fan of their music, they probably rate a few of these albums, okay albums, and not all of them good. But I have a feeling I'm gonna have most of the albums in the good range. Maybe one or two in the very good. It's gonna be really close. But yeah, that's my review of How to Be a Zillionaire by ABC. Rated 63 out of 100. All right, thanks so much. Oh, curious. What's your favorite 3 songs? Mine are Be Near Me, How to Be a Millionaire, and uh, it was what was the other one? It was Ocean Blue and Between You and Me were tied, so I guess I gotta choose it. I'll go with Ocean Blue for my third favorite. Yeah, so that's my review. Thanks so much.